One of the major things Shove taught me when I met him, he said, poor thinking habits keeps most people poor. Not poor working habits. Most people work hard, but they don't think hard. And Shove taught me that the mind is like a factory, a mental factory. And whatever you think about all day long pours ingredients into this mental factory. And that's what builds the economic, social, financial fabric of your life. He quoted me a Bible phrase that says,
humans also need words. Words nourish the mind. Words give life.
Everything starts with thought. So you must be wise and careful what you think about, because that starts everything. You got to be wise and careful. Mr. Shove gave me one of the greatest phrases when I first met him when he said, Jim, every day stand guard at the door of your mind. How important. Stand guard at the door of your mind. And you decide what goes into your mental factory. Don't let anybody just dump anything they want to in your mental factory, because you've got to live with the results. The first thing we do is follow him to his house. When we get there, we walk in and check his library, number one. Somebody says, well, why check his library? The reason is because what a man reads pours massive ingredients into his mental factory, and the fabric of his life is built from those ingredients. You would not believe what some people have got in their house to read.
Boy, it's so important to have the correct philosophy. It's so important to know. Philosophy sets the course of your life. Philosophy is simply what you know. So it's important to know. I'm telling the kids these days, make sure you get the information while you're here. I'm talking to the Newport Harbor high school kids in some lectures last year and this year. And my encouragement is, make sure you get all the information while you're here. I know it's laborious. I know it isn't easy to read the books and take the classes and try to get good grades. But hey, while you're here, gather it all up. The book you miss will make a difference, right? The information you don't get will make a difference in the legacy of your equities over the next few months, the next few years. So philosophy, this is where it all begins. Now, I've divided philosophy into three parts. One is basic, starting out philosophy. The baby starts processing information right away. Cold is bad, warm is good, hungry is awful, food is terrific. The baby starts reacting and processing information and having certain reactions to it. So our philosophy starts early, gathering information and reacting to it. Next is expanded philosophy. At least enough philosophy to be gainfully employed and offer a value to society and find your place in the marketplace. You know, be a reasonable, decent human being. Expanded philosophy. But now how do you become wealthy and powerful and sophisticated, influential and unique? Simple word, refined philosophy. The refinement of philosophy. The extra studies and the extra books and the extra classes and the extra thinking, the extra pondering, the extra give and take of testing ideas and debate and discussion. That's where the extra life comes from, is in the dimensions of refined philosophy, the extra thinking. And these are the steps of intellectual discovery that a lot of people just don't want to take, or they're too busy to take it, or it presents itself in too strong and tough a manner, these extra skills. But I'm telling you, once you start engaging in these extra skills, you won't ever want to go back. This new intellectual discovery is where the wealth is. It's where the happiness is, the good life, influence, power. Refinement of philosophy. Now, our philosophy comes from a lot of places. Let me give it to you. Number one, from teaching, the influence of others, from the books we read, from the classes we take. And you might underline the word influence. This is where a big share of our philosophy comes from, influence. In another series, we asked three major questions. Who am I around? That's called big questions. Some questions are little and some are big. This is a big one. Who am I around? Question number two, what are they doing to me? This is called major. This is called big. Where have they got me going? What have they got me reading? What have they got me thinking? What have they got me saying? And the big biggie, what have they got me becoming? Influence plays a major role in the development of our philosophy. How we think, how we speak, the formulation of ideas, the things we weigh concerning values. All of this is so important. What we know, the mind, thinking, processing ideas and information. Ideas are simply information taking form. Now, we do something very important with what we know. We weigh it. We put it on our mental scales and we weigh it. And I don't know, we may give it a number from 1 to 10. Probably not consciously. But if we hear something and we come into possession of some information and we give it a 10, we'll probably act on it right away. If we give it a 1, we'll probably let it slide. If it's important, we'll do something about it. If we don't think it's important, we'll probably let it go. But it's so important to evaluate. A key word we learn in leadership skill training, perception. Trying to find value in something. Where is the value? How valuable is it? How important is it? Is there something here that I can't see at first glance? Is there something below the surface? Is there something in the inner workings of it? What goes behind it? What goes beyond it? What is its origin? All of these questions that help us come to the perception of value, ideas, evaluating information. So this is called major. What we ponder and what we think about sets the course of our life. It's like the set of the sail that's taking us somewhere. Let me give you a good question to write down. Where are my thoughts taking me? This is a biggie question. Where are my thoughts taking me? These are some of the things you want to make sure of. You might be able to be casual about some things, but here's some things not to be casual about. My philosophy is taking me somewhere. Big question, where? The accumulation of equity will either be there or won't be there. Life accumulates. And I'm either accumulating debt that I'll be sorry for, or I'm accumulating value that I'll be happy about.
Here's what changed the second 6 years of my economic life. It was my philosophy that changed. The set of the sail of better thinking, correcting the errors of the past and picking up new disciplines for the future. That's all I had to do at the end of the first 6. Correct the errors of the past and then pick up some new disciplines for the future. And my total life changed. The second 6 years was totally different than the first 6 of my working life. And guess who can do that? Anybody. Now, you can keep on the same path for the next couple of years as you have the past 2. But if you wish to, and maybe everything's okay for you and you don't need to, but if you need to make some changes, I'm telling you, you can start doing it today so that the next 2 years will be drastically different than the last 2. And anybody who wishes to do that can. And you can do it between ages 40 and 43. You can do it between ages 13 and 15. You can do it between ages 60 and 62. Any 2 years, any 5 years that you wish to drastically change from the previous 5, you can do it. If you wish to. Now, this isn't written. This is not a law. Here's what it's called, opportunity. If you don't know you can drastically change your income, change your future, change your health, change your marriage, change everything. If you don't know that, some people then go year after year after year after year not making much change simply because they didn't get to the class. They never read the book. They never went to the seminar. They never made the discovery. They didn't seek for the knowledge of how could I make my life better. And if you just rock along, I'm telling you it's okay. Anybody can live any way they choose, but I'm here to tell all of you that if you wish to, it's possible to make the next 3 years totally different than the last 3. And all you have to do is just a few things. Human beings can alter the course of their life. Human beings can live one way for 5 years, tear up that script, live a totally different way the next 5 years. The first 6 years of my economic life, I wound up broke. Second 6 years, I wound up rich. Someone says, how did you do that? Here's number 1. I discovered I was not a goose. Someone says, don't you have to do the second 6 years like you did the first 6 years? And jot this down. No. No, you don't have to live the second 6 years like the first 6. You can use all the information and all the advice and repairing all of your mistakes and adopting a new and refined philosophy so that the next 6 years can be totally different than the last 6. As a tree, if you used up all the nourishment that was around you and you couldn't change location, see, you would die. But that's not true. Human beings can change location, go north, south, east, west, live here for a while, live somewhere else for a while. So that's a note to make. You can greatly alter the course of your life. Now here's the next note to make. 5 years from now, you will arrive.
The question is where? This is for mature people now. If you keep up your present disciplines and keep up the present pace that you're on, where will you be in 5 years? Boy, it's easy to say, hey, I haven't really thought about that. So now make this note. In 5 years, here's the probability. You will either arrive at a well-designed destination or an undesigned destination. Well-designed or undesigned. And I promise you, 5 years from now, you really don't want to arrive at an undesigned destination. Because you may very well wind up wearing what you don't want to wear, driving what you don't want to drive, living where you don't want to live, maybe doing what you don't want to do. Simply because you didn't design a better destination. To make some repair now in our errors of the past and set up some new disciplines. And I'm telling you, that's going to change everything. So, 5 years from now, I wish for you to arrive at a well-designed place. A place of productivity, a place that'll make you feel good about yourself, a place that'll give you honor and respect, a place that'll give you influence to touch other people 5 years from now that you couldn't do today. Where will you be in 5 years? Key phrase, we go the direction we face. We go the direction we face. If you start designing something at the end of this direction, sure enough, you will start going the direction you face.
Next, the mind needs to be exercised. We talked a bit about that earlier. Exercised by debate. Exercised by reading both sides of the debate, both sides of the question. Major life issues. Major political issues. Don't leave yourself out of the great debate. One, the mind needs to be nourished by ideas. Second, it needs to be refined and stimulated and exercised by debate. We need both sides of the human drama represented. The reason why the Bible is such a classic book in studying all kinds of stories is because the Bible is full of stories on both sides, the evil side and the good side. The Bible said, Old Testament said, this king came to power and he was a good king and he ruled for 18 years. And then it says the next king came to power and he was a bad king and he put up idols. He became the bad king. So it reads good king, bad king, showing both sides of the human spectrum and drama. Some stories that we read in the Bible of people to admire, others are people to despise. In your library, you need a book on Gandhi and you need a book on Hitler. One book to show you how noble someone's aspirations can be, and the other book to show you how despicable and how evil someone's goals can be. Both sides we study, good and evil, one we love and one we hate. We study illness, we study health. Someone says, well, you can't study the negative things. You have to study the negative things. You have to give voice to and mind to and time to both sides of the issue so that you can strengthen your side of the argument. In raising our kids, we have to pose both sides. What's the dangerous side and the safe side? In one of the seminars that I'm sure some of you have attended, I talk about philosophy that makes the difference. Philosophy does two things, each person's personal philosophy. So jot this down. Our personal philosophy does two things. One, helps us to see the dangers on one side so we can avoid or minimize those. Then our personal philosophy needs to be developed so we can see the opportunities on the other side so we can maximize those. And for the balance of your life, that's going to be the twin challenge in developing ideas and philosophy and strengthening all of it so that you can avoid the dangers, maximize the opportunities. So feed the mind, exercise the mind, and build your library. I recommend 3 books that were recommended to me when I started my library when I was 25 years old, in those accelerated days of personal development for me, about 7 years worth. So fantastically changed my bank account, changed my income, revolutionized my future. With the foundation my parents gave me, meeting Mr. Schoaf at age 25, I'm telling you, it's been a journey for me like no other ever since. Then I've had mentors along the way. I've I'm telling you, that keep my mind stimulated, that keep my interest keen, that help me to evaluate and to weigh what is good, what is okay, what is better, and what is prosperous in terms of your life. Mentors. And that first mentor I had recommended these 3 books. First was the Bible. Now, I had an advantage there because my parents made sure I was a pretty good scholar by age 19. A good book to serve you all of your life. One of the major sources of ideas, stories, poetry, history. A major source for stimulation. Next, he recommended the book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Think and grow. Good words, think, grow, rich. I went for it, got the book, paid less than 50 cents for it. Some of the ideas in it changed my life. Next, Schoff recommended the book, The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clayson. Helped me become a millionaire by age 32. Totally changed my economic future. Just the ideas in a simple little book. Then he recommended something for me to listen to by Earl Nightingale called The Greatest Secret. That was my listening library to begin with. The Greatest Secret by Earl Nightingale. So your listening library and your visual library. Next now is your reading library. And we won't go through a whole list of the best books, but here's a good book to get if you want a good list of the best books. It's called How to Read a Book. Simple. How to Read a Book by Adler. Chief editor of the Encyclopedia Britannica, Mortimer Adler. He wrote a book called 6 Great Ideas that's excellent. He wondered, are ideas tangible? Are ideas real? Or are they nothing? But he wrote this book along with another author, How to Read a Book. Now, if you master this book, you can get so much more from a book. Now, it's a kind of a tough book to get through, but it'll give you some ideas on how to take a book and get the most out of it. Take a book and get the most out of it. But in this book is also a list of what he calls are the greatest books ever written. And I've used that book, that list, as a centerpiece for my library. It's got the classics, which I missed. I only went to 1 year of college, so I missed a whole bunch of stuff. I started making up for that by collecting these best books ever written. Interestingly enough, on that list is Old and New Testament. On every scholar's list, East or West. You just can't miss those as major sources. In addition to that, there's a book called Lessons of History, written by Durant. And I offer it because it's one of the classic writings of all time. You may not agree with his premise, but you certainly have to agree that it's one of the best well-written books. He and his wife wrote about 11 volumes on civilization. Take a speed reading course, you can get through those. But this little book, Lessons of History, is sort of a summary of their ideas on history. It's a classic. Then a classic I think most everybody's got is called As a Man Thinketh by James Allen, where each sentence is a seminar. And you may not agree with his premise either in certain instances. You don't want to read just what you agree with, and not just to read the positive. Make this note: you cannot live on mental candy, just like you can't feed your children ice cream all the time and hope that they will be healthy. So you cannot live on mental candy. Someone says, well, I just read the positive stuff. That's not enough. And the reason is because you need to know both sides of the issue. So start your library like I did, age 25. I mentioned in another seminar, haven't read everything in my library, but I feel smarter just walking in it, right? And smart enough to buy it. Now I got to be smart enough to read it all. Then I got to be smart enough to sort through and decide what's valuable. So make that the next part now. In part of personal development for the mind, you got to sort through what you read, what you see, and what you hear, and decide which of all of that is valuable for you to try and do and master. This is where being a student comes in. Not a follower, but a student. You read one book on good health and it says, do what this book says, you'll live forever. You read the next book on health and nutrition and it says, if you do what that first book says, you'll die young. So someone says to me, Mr. Rohn, which of these books should I follow? Jot this down. Neither one. Don't be a follower. Read both books and make up your own mind. Here's what's important in the final analysis. One of the best phrases for the day, I got this from my Canadian friend Harold Dyke, who gave it to me, and I've used it all these years. Here's what he said. Make sure what you finally do is the product of your own conclusion. Make sure what you finally do is the product of your own conclusion. Meaning you don't just follow, but you listen to both sides of the argument. You listen to the controversy. You try to master the points on both sides or three sides or whatever. Then you start charting your own course. It doesn't say you'll make always the right decision on what course to take or what to do. You can refine as you go. But make sure that what you do is the product of your own conclusions. Conclusions from the debate. Conclusion from what makes the best sense to you to try. Now, jot this down. Also give yourself a chance to change. Some things I held on to that I thought this was it. I'm telling you, after a while I gave it up, found out it wasn't it. So give yourself a chance to change. Refine your philosophy. Refine your direction. If you'll give yourself a chance to do that, here's what will happen down the road a ways. A new door will open that you haven't discovered before. Give yourself a chance to change. Reevaluate. So let your library be a testimonial of your dedicated interest in accelerated personal development, that you will read whatever you have to read, you will hear whatever you must hear, and you will watch and see whatever you must see in order to make your life refined and worthwhile and achieve all of your purposes. It takes a lot of effort to learn. It takes a lot of effort to grow. It takes a lot of effort to decide and debate. But jot this down. It's all worth the price. Whatever stimulates you to think, whatever stimulates you to wonder, whatever stimulates you to react or even to debate, even if you hear something you say, well, that's not right, see, that's still valuable. It means you're awake. It means you're alert. It means you're alive. It means your mind is ready to take on something, whether it's agreeable or not agreeable. Something right, something wrong. Who cares what it is? We've got to listen to a variety of voices. And some are going to come from the left, and some are going to come from the right. And some are going to come from mysterious sources. And some will try to entice you with all kinds of stuff. But that's okay, just so you're alive and alert and awake, ready to process anything that comes your way. Take the best of it and make it beneficial for you, so that tomorrow you walk with a stronger step. Next month you see a clearer vision. And a month from now, the purpose for your life is multiplied by 2, 3.
Chẳng được quên khi cơn mưa đêm lại về. Em đã quên lời thề và ta như đông chìm sâu. Không còn mơ em anh nhận màu. Em chỉ cần mơ là bye bye. Chỉ còn là những cơn mưa vô giá. Cho bên mơ em không mơ hay nhẹ. Anh một đêm mơ chỉ cần bên em không được cơn nhớ. Và chỉ có em không còn nhớ. Và người ta bên nhau như là tớ. Muốn nhớ về say em chỉ có mấy em ở đây. Và anh như muốn chết đi nhưng không muốn em mơ mày. Tình yêu làm cho ta đau đầu. Không em như mà mơ mộng. Anh như nơi mong cầu. Và mưa bên em ngô sầu. Chào các bạn ba để mơ. Chỉ có bên em nhưng là khó mơ. Em ở đâu ra em muốn bên ai. Anh không mong gì hơn. Chỉ mong em sẽ ở đây ôm anh thật gần. Anh chỉ mong đôi ta được có nhau. Và đừng em đâu anh có em. Một đôi bên nào đừng có em. Ta sẽ trao nhau môi hôn thật sâu. Ôm anh cứ mưa bằng ngâu. Và em chỉ nằm đâu. Anh không muốn em ở đâu đâu. Một cơn gió thứ anh không mơ cầu. Mà không đôi anh mà bên giờ. Anh chỉ là my friend. Em quên đi cả những ngày xưa, anh như là muốn nữa, em thương một chưa, mà đưa đêm ở đêm, anh nhìn một đôi mà kem, không như là ba trên thêm, cho em nhiều hơn như là kem, chỉ cần là mưa thôi, em chỉ cần là mưa thôi, còn ai sẽ là nắng rồi, em chỉ cần là mưa thôi, cho anh ngừng êm trôi, cho anh được ôm em khi trời nắng và ôm em khi trời mưa, và có anh có mặt trời, em như là cuộc đời, có được nhau là gặp thời, không cần mưa để mất lời, anh muốn em mau về đây để cơn mưa ngừng trôi, anh muốn em là cuộc đời trong mưa mời, bao con đoán như sự trên đời, anh chỉ mong muốn có em bên người, không muốn mơ mai, chỉ cần mơ sai, em nên làm con tim u sầu, đừng làm con tim để đau đầu, yêu em chẳng em mà mong cầu, chỉ muốn có em ở trong đầu, anh không.
determined your fate. I've never seen so clear. I feel the end and it's near. The day of reckoning's here. The sound of deafening fear. every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly I'm not really sure I want saving. I like to be my own worst enemy. There's no risk if you don't try at anything, so I'ma just keep buying everything. See you in the next life, have to be a better me. I don't think that my head's on straight, gotta flip it and grip it and go and get an x-ray. What's wrong with me? I just feel weight pushing on my chest and it squeezes till I suffocate. Better change my mindset, meditate. It's pretty cool that I'm alive and have better days. I could walk, see, hear, I should celebrate. Think I could change my mind, maybe elevate. Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah, all I need are some better days. Cause all I want, and I pray, I believe in the better days. I'm kinda stuck between a rock and a hard place. Do I work hard or live at my pace? You're only young once, yeah that's all great, but I also want a future where I'm okay. Living life is doing lots of cocaine. Wait no, it's living with no shame. Wait no, it's sleeping in on Sundays. I guess it's different for each of us and that's okay. Well I just wanna be happy, how to get there? Glad that you asked me. I think it's different for everyone. Some of us need work, others need fun. Some of us need purpose to overcome. But try to do what you love when it's said and done. Cause there's so many differences in each of us. Trust your gut, it can show you what you want. Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah, all I need are some better days. Cause all I want, and I pray, I believe in the better days. Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Yeah, all I need are some better days. Cause all I want, and I pray, I believe in the better days.